So we got some major things to get to today. So it is what it is. Fani Willis decided she wanted to respond to Young Thug getting out. Let's just run it.
The YSL RICO trial returned for the first time since rapper Young Thug was released from jail. Two defendants now remain on trial in the case. Shannon Stillwell and DeMonte Kendrick rejected the state's plea offers last week. Today, jurors heard testimony from an Atlanta rapper who performed with the defendants, the medical examiner, and a police detective.
New at 5, only Channel 2 Action News is hearing from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis about the dramatic conclusion to the gang racketeering case against rapper Young Thug last week. Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie's live inside the Fulton County Courthouse. And Mark, you actually asked the district attorney if it was worth all the trouble.
You know, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office says this is the grand jury room where the YSL indictment was returned against Young Thug and others, where the criminal prosecution began. And now she's talking about the way his case ended, though the YSL case itself is not over.
Any regrets? Was it worth all the trouble?
It's always worth the trouble. The reality is, as you know, I have aggressively prosecuted gang violence, and there is no one above or below the law.
Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis says though she did not agree on a deal for a plea with attorneys for Jeffrey Williams, better known as megastar hip-hop artist Young Thug, she's choosing not to publicly voice whether she agrees or disagrees with the sentence. Fulton Superior Court Judge Paige Reese Whitaker.
Sentencing was in the hands of Judge Whitaker.
Handed down after Williams entered a non-negotiated plea in which he pled guilty to every charge he faced in the YSL case, except for two to which he pled nolo contendere, or no contest, which she says is similar to a guilty plea, except when it comes to civil lawsuits.
You poured a lot of resources, took a lot of flack on this case.
You shouldn't be the district attorney if you're not willing to take flack. The reality is the world has been caught up with one defendant, but we indicted 28 defendants. 14 of those defendants are now disposed of cases. We have 14 more defendants to go, and so we are going to continue to pursue justice in that case.
Ms. Willis says though Young Thug exited the Fulton County Jail soon after his plea in a car driven by one of his attorneys, he had already done a substantial amount of time in jail while awaiting or going through his trial.
He's been in jail almost 3 years, so that is not a walk in the park.
She says there is room for accountability in the complicated sentence involving 5 years commuted to time served, followed by 15 years probation, to be followed by a, quote, backloaded 20-year prison term, which will also be commuted to time served if he successfully completes the probation, which is loaded with lots of special conditions.
Hope springs eternal that he will do well, because if not, he's going to land himself in prison for another 20 years.
The DA says video from gang murder cases unrelated to Williams we reported on last week underscores that gangs are a major driver of crime here. Now, the DA's office says Atlanta police crime stats show some key violent crime categories are down as of October 7th compared to roughly the same time in 2022, and that aggressive prosecution of gang members is a key reason why. Reporting live inside the Fulton County Grand Jury Room, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.
When you understand propaganda, as I do and others do, there was about maybe 30% of the chat when I said this that were in agreement, and 70% was like, nah, Nash. Y'all see what they try to do, right? Okay. When you never want to say you lost, you point to your wins. That's how everybody does it. So it's the same thing that's going on in politics, right? We point out the losses that they have. We don't point out the wins if we're not for them. There are wins under both administrations, and let's just be fair. America did not dive off the deep end. We didn't get attacked by some major country, and it's not going to happen with whomever wins the presidency. It's just not going to happen. Some people can get in here and argue and all that stuff, and I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. But what will happen? I knew Fani Willis was going to take this route. Violent crime is down since Jeffrey Williams has been in there. And that's true, but the reason for it isn't because of the aggressiveness towards the quote-unquote gangs, because we would be having major gang arrests almost every other month. Just is what it is. So that part has not happened. What happened was everybody was hauled up, put up in the house, and then you seen crime rates drop dramatically to a point where there were times where there was shootings in all these cities and stuff like that, and hadn't happened for years because everybody was in the house. Nobody could do anything. And the thugs and gangsters and killers and all that stuff, they still need love too. So they was in the house creating babies. That's why you seen, can't say the COVID word, But yeah, that's why you've seen a spike a little bit as far as births go. But ultimately, Fani Willis won against Young Thug. Why? Well, we have fireworks before the courthouse even started. Y'all ready for this one? It gets good.
But, of course, we have another issue because we can't have more than one normal no-issue trial day in a row. So I have an email from one of the jurors this morning. Interestingly, he sent two different drafts of it. The first says, it's to my assistant, when you have a moment, please relay this to the judge. Good morning, Judge Whitaker. I am requesting to be removed from the current case due to the length of this trial and how the state has handled this case. I can no longer be unbiased towards any decisions moving forward. Yesterday provided a glimpse of how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants. Thanks. But then that's not what he really meant to send, because he said, I didn't mean to send this version, not the other one, with a minor correction. Hope all is well. When you have a moment, can you relay this email to the judge? Good morning, Judge Whitaker. I am requesting to be removed from the current case due to the length of this trial and how the state has handled this case. I will be biased towards any decisions moving forward. Yesterday provided a glimpse of how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants. Thanks. Now, this is the same juror who a few months back asked to be removed from the case and provided no reason whatsoever. And so I just ignored it. I just said, no, you're not removed. Doesn't work that way. And so I think this is just a ploy to get off of a case that he's sick of being on because it's taking up his time. Obviously, we can have him out and privately, not with the other jurors around, and ask whatever questions we want of him. Willing to hear what anybody has to say about it.
I don't know from the court's perspective if this would be appropriate, but I would have no objection to informing this juror that it might not be 3 to 6 months. And I think it might not be 3 to 6 months or whatever he said. And I think that is accurate and honest at this point.
I mean, I think it would be fair to say we have no expectation that it'll be another 3 to 6 months.
He said that he's biased
towards any decisions, whatever that means.
right, but he said but he specifically talked about the state and how the state is cleaning up his case. So therefore, the state would have some concern with the juror not being able to remain fair and impartial, given what his language was. He didn't say to either side. He said specifically to the state.
No, he didn't. He said, I will be biased towards any decisions moving forward. Yesterday provided a glimpse of how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants. And frankly, you have to start a case unbiased, but as you listen to the evidence, as long as you don't deliberate with anybody, you can mull the evidence in your own mind. And frankly, if y'all are presenting the case in a way that is driving a juror crazy, that's on you.
And I understand that, but if he is, it appears that he is, his thought at this point is that he's, and maybe that's what we need to ask him, whether or not he can still be fair and impartial. We want to watch everything outside the presence of another.
I mean, I certainly think that would be appropriate.
So I took it at first initially that he was saying that he's for the state because I was believing in death by thoughts. Because like eventually y'all gonna get found guilty of something. So, you know, there was that. But the whole world was like, nah, Nash, you got that one wrong. So I'll take the whole world's perspective on this one. He basically was saying, I'm going to be biased towards getting it done. We gonna get up out of here. We ain't granting no mistrial. We ain't doing any of that crap. We gonna be gone. I'm gonna tell you this. Just gonna be flat out honest with y'all. If the verdict is done within 2 days, they walk free of all charges. All charges. If that verdict lasts between 3 to 4 days, they're going to be found guilty of RICO. If it goes 5, then they gonna get them bodies on them. I'm just gonna be fair, square, obvious, and honest, because they'll be debating so much, and it won't be debate, it'll be discussion about it. But it just seemed to me that yeah, Fani Willis, you may have won against Thug, but you absolutely have lost it as far as the jurors go. The jurors want to get the heck out of here, and I don't believe that he's thinking that alone. I think that that's the sentiment of them all. It would be hard for me if I was a juror, and I'm just being fair, square, obvious, and honest. If you told me don't look this stuff up, I'm gonna look. If I told you right now, don't think of a lime elephant, you just thought of a lime elephant. So there's that. But also with the fact you telling me don't talk to people that I've been seeing for a year plus. And once again, I don't believe for 6 seconds that this trial is going to wrap up in 3 months. I just don't see it. There's no way. I believe this trial will be wrapped up in February, like I previously said, or March. But if I'm going to hedge my bet, I'd say be done second week January when we get to our closing statements and all of that crap and everything like that. So there goes that. And I told y'all we will be in the courtroom around that time, but I'm pretty sure the courtroom is going to be filled. But here's what y'all came here for. What did the juror get up there and say?
So I'm looking for some. Good morning. So I am in receipt of a correspondence from you this morning, and I'm actually in receipt of both versions of it because you sent one and then you adjusted it, and my assistant had already sent that one to me, so I have both. And you seem to be expressing concerns about the length of the trial. And I've discussed that with all of the attorneys, and we all feel comfortable representing that there is really, it's almost certain that this trial will be over far before 3 to 6 months have elapsed. I think it is probable that it will be over before the end of this year. So I'd like to find out whether that assuages any of your concerns.
Given that you said probable, and I'll keep it as is, but I will, if it prolongs, then I will send a correspondence if it goes into 2025.
All right. Let me ask you as well. You said that you, first you said you could no longer be unbiased, and then you said that you would be biased towards any decisions moving forward. Is that because of your worries about how long the case might take?
Yes.
Okay.
I projected it when we first began this entire case. We were projected to be in, 6 months and then to a year.
Yeah.
And then given the circumstances in between, I just feel like it's just too long.
Yeah.
I love what I do for a living. I miss what I do.
Yeah.
And it's been hindering a lot of things with family and friends. And
Yeah.
and so since use probable in the sentence, and so therefore I can we're assuring that this will probably go toward the 2024 year, so then therefore I can still stay on board.
Okay. Let me ask you a couple of other things as well. I know that you were instructed with some version of entering the case and considering the evidence with an open mind and not reaching any final conclusions until the trial is over with. Can you continue to assess the evidence with an open mind?
Given the information that you just discussed, then yes.
All right. Okay, and can you decide this case based only on the evidence that is presented in the law that I give you, and not on whether you like or dislike anybody's presentation style?
Since you work that way, then yes, I can go along with that.
All right.
For 2024,
All right. Do any of the attorneys have questions for this juror?
I do not.
All right.
I do not.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll excuse you to the jury room, and we'll have y'all all back in just a minute. Thank you.
So he said I can stay. It's all right. I'll thug it out for you guys. And at the end of the day, can he be unbiased? I think he just needed a stern talking to from the judge. Do I think he's going to be unbiased? I do. Psych. I don't believe that at all. I think that man is going to be the reason why they sit up here and they get off. I can't tell you what the jurors look like. But going based off of his voice, I would say he's probably an older white male between the ages of 45 to 60. And if you have managed to get that type of person to flip on the state in a RICO with people with tattoos on their faces and dreads and all type of violent crimes that range from drug dealing, killing, what is it? Jacking, macking, stacking, dope dealing, and killing? JMSDK? I don't know. It just seems as though it seems. But what was today's court date about? You're going to hear LPR readers. You're going to hear all this stuff. Basically, essentially talking about the murder of Shamel Drinks, how they fought him, how they caught him. Not even how they caught him, how they found him. Pardon me. I'm so sorry for ruining that. How they found him, and yeah, I'm going to use some photos to kind of surmise what the heck they're talking about. I'm just going to try something new today, so please, bear with me. So today we had Blade with the voice of Michael Jai White, and he was up there like, yeah, I was driving, and I seen a car parked and all that. Basically, he was the one who found Shamel Drinks slumped over in the seat, thought he was asleep, and then noticed, that he wasn't moving, flashers and all this stuff and everything like that. And basically was able to get him help. But I'm going to be fair, swear, obvious, and honest. There was obvious signs that he had been shot at because there were bullet holes in the car and glass everywhere. And basically, that's what his testimony was all about. My man here was basically the big dog as far as the pod goes. What is it? The 600 floor where YF and Lucci. I definitely cannot show that video, nor can I show stab wounds. But basically, they let that crap happen. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of allow it to be said. But basically, the state was trying to prove, and they did because it wasn't that hard to prove, that YF and Lucci was stabbed and the other member was a member of YSL, just to basically show the ongoing war between YSL and YFN.
Good morning, Captain Wofford. Lieutenant Wofford. Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Apologize. No problem. My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell, who's seated to my right. Mm-hmm. Just a couple questions. I just want to make sure I have this correct. I know that you've corrected me. You're a lieutenant. Were you the person within the jail responsible for investigating this incident?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that was in your purview.
Yes.
All right. Great. Now, my first question is, I think we just saw in the body cam, Deputy Edwards. I thought I heard a taser gun. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. Who was tased?
Both of them.
Both individuals were tased?
I understand. Yes. From what I saw. Yes.
Now, as I understood your testimony, correct me if I'm wrong, this occurred in a protective custody dorm, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you indicated, I believe, that there was only supposed to be one person. When I say person, I mean a person that's an inmate at the time, walking around the floor at a time.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And so that doesn't just apply to Jaden Myrick and Rashawn Bennett. That applies to all the people, the inmates. I don't like that term, but inmates that are in that pod.
In 600, yes.
In 600.
Yes.
So no two people are supposed to be on the floor at the same time.
Correct.
Okay. How is that ensured? Can you explain? For instance, are there locks on the individual doors to the rooms?
Yes.
Okay.
Once their doors close, it locks.
Okay. So, and who controls those locks?
Tower.
Okay. So, am I correct that the tower, ideally, the way it's supposed to work is the tower lets one person out onto the floor and then doesn't let anyone else out until that person returns back to their room?
Ideally, whoever's out, they go in first, they lock the doors, and whoever's supposed to come out next comes out.
Okay. In the video, as I understood it, Mr. Myrick was out walking the floor, correct?
Correct.
And then Mr. Bennett exited his door to enter the floor as well.
Correct.
Which would be against the protocol.
Correct.
What happened?
From my understanding, from
reports that I got, he was supposed to go up. I'm not sure why he didn't go inside or whatever, and he was left out. I don't know what because I wasn't up there.
Well, Mr. Presumably, if the idea is to keep the gentleman separate, or any two individuals separate, the person that's in the room, their door would not be unlocked until the other person is securely locked in their room, correct? That's how it's supposed to work.
That's how it's supposed to work. I'm not sure what the incident was or why it happened that way. There could have been a number of things. I don't know. Maybe the tower person didn't see him walking around. I'm not sure. I'm not making any excuses. I don't know. But ideally, one person's supposed to go up, the other one's supposed to go in.
Did you do, as part of your investigation at the jail, did you do kind of a historical look to see if that was a common instance that had been happening over the last month, we'll say, with two people on the floor at the same time?
No.
Okay, so we don't know if this is that incident or that situation with two people that are in 600 being on the floor at the same time. We're not sure if that happened at all over the past month. We just know that it happened on that particular day.
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Good morning, Lieutenant Wofford.
Good morning.
My name is Doug Weinstein. I represent Diamante Kendrick. Just a few questions. I think you indicated to Mr. Shart that only one of the people held in custody should have been on the floor at the time, correct?
Outside the
cell.
Yes.
And you don't know why there were two that were out there at the same time, right?
I don't.
Okay. Is it possible for, and I'm going to again use the unfortunate term inmate, is it possible for an inmate to release himself from the cell?
Yeah.
It is. How would they go about doing that?
Move the door.
It's not locked? It is not locked.
What, the door? Yeah, it's locked. They moved the door when it was locked.
Okay. So even though they're in protective custody, it's possible for multiple inmates to be on the floor at the same
I'm
time?
not saying in that pod. I'm just talking. You said generally in the jail.
Okay,
correct?
I'm sorry. Let me be more specific. In that particular pod in 600.
It shouldn't be, but things are put in the doors where you think the door's shut and they can move it.
Okay. And I think we all saw the deputy respond to that fight taking place where he strolls out. Is that the normal procedure, just to kind of slowly walk out there, or generally are they encouraged to have some urgency?
Well, we like to survey the scene first before we go into an incident that could possibly hurt us.
Okay. Do you know how many people held in custody in Fulton County Jail in 2022 when this happened?
Capacity?
Yeah, let's clarify. Hold on. No, I haven't finished the question. I'm sorry. Within all of the Fulton County Jail, which goes by Rice Street, correct? People call it Rice Street?
Yes, sir.
So within Rice Street in 2022, do you know how many of the inmates there were killed or died in 2022?
Object to relevance.
Sustained.
Okay, I have no further questions.
You can after, if there's any redirect.
I just have one question. Lieutenant, in your time working at the Fulton County Jail, have there been incidents or situations when deputies have assisted inmates in, for example, staying out in the pods while other inmates are being released from their jail cell?
No, not that I know of. No.
I don't have anything else.
Sir, you talked about the door, the inmates being able to just move the door. I think that was the assumption that it was been tampered with in some way, the door. Is that what you were saying, that inmates can tamper with the doors? How is that done?
They can put, the door slides. If a door slides, they can put debris or whatever up in the system, in the mechanism. The door will close like it's locked, but they can still move it. They can still get out.
So that would allow someone to exit their room while someone else is still on the floor?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. Can you tell the jurors, how does an inmate or someone who's residing in Fulton County Jail get a shank into the jail?
It's made from materials that's in the jail already.
Nothing, Judge.
Anything else? All right, thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State call, Mr. Atlanta, please stand.
So what I'll do is I'll just kind of surmise what ends up happening. The day was filled with a lady who came in and basically testified that, hey, you know, Shamel Drakes was killed and all of this stuff and everything like that. But it wasn't really, they didn't really, and I don't know why they didn't, but Max kind of did it. There's a aura in the air about Shamel Drakes' murder that his homeboy killed him. On some YW Melly stuff. The reason why I say that is because what they're essentially alluding to is that if a car, if basically gunpowder GSR residue is not as reliable as we think as far as it comes to murder in closed spaces. How am I saying this? If you put a gun in the window, boom, it's just like you had a gun on the inside of the car, boom. So there's that. So that's why, I don't know why it is, but that's why you're not going to essentially be able to say emphatically that the shots came from with inside of the car and with outside of the car. So there's that. There is a strong belief that there's another person with Shamel Drakes and possibly was shooting at Shannon Stillwell and incidentally killed his own friend, ran out the car, and so be it. But we'll see how much teeth that holds. But the family does not believe that SB, Shannon Jackson, Shannon Stillwell, is responsible for that. Then we get to the space and place of, essentially, there was a convenience store clerk that came in there who was not the manager, but was the manager. He was able to show that SB and all them were there, basically, and there's that they were at the store and all that crap, but it doesn't really prove anything because at the end of the day, Matt Sharp kind of showed, bro, this might have been a lazy case, and I get it, but me personally, I'm not a lawyer. Shout out to I'm not a lawyer, but me, I don't know. So y'all tell me what y'all think about this clip right here.
Descriptions of some vehicles, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what descriptions did he give you for vehicles?
A white Ford Fusion and a white Audi sedan.
And then the red Versa?
Yes.
Okay. Did he ask you, besides those three cars, the red Versa, the white Ford Fusion, and the white Audi sedan, besides those three cars, did Detective Hogan ever come to you and ask you to run any other LPRs on any other vehicles involving this case?
Not that I recall.
Okay, so he did not identify to you any other vehicles of interest for you to run LPRs on?
Not that I recall. At the time, he was looking for these two specific suspect vehicles and for his victim vehicle and what time they might have been in the area.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Are you familiar with this case besides the LPRs?
No.
Okay. Have you ever seen any surveillance video regarding this case?
I know there is surveillance video. I've seen still shots from it.
Okay. Okay. But Detective Hogan just asked you about those three vehicles.
He gave me the description of the vehicles. And so when I'm looking for locations nearby, I'm going to look at any white vehicles. If I know that they're white vehicles, I'm looking at any white vehicles. But he knew the make and model. He happened to know the make and model. So when I'm, or you know, in this case, it's white vehicles and then a red vehicle. So I'm looking in general for any vehicle that remotely matches the description because it doesn't always return what type of vehicle it is. And sometimes the pictures, you can't tell what type of vehicle it is.
And thank you for that. So if you were doing the first step, which was to identify vehicles, you would be able to look at pictures, the LPR caught other white vehicles, but then you would be able to be determined, okay, is this a Ford Fusion or is this a Audi sedan?
Correct.
Okay, and that would narrow it down for you. Okay.
Right.
How long is LPR records kept?
From my understanding, at one point, it was maybe 2 years. I don't know if that's still the case.
Okay. All right. And does the public have access to the LPR readers around town, or is it just for law enforcement?
In what way?
Could I or any other citizen have access to the database that you have to tap into the LPR system? or is that strictly law enforcement?
It's law enforcement, from my understanding.
Okay. All right, thank you. No further questions.
And I hate to say it this way, but that seems to be the standard of Atlanta PD as far as way back when, a couple years ago. They got to get better with this. You cannot, and I'm not a police officer. I'm a Fed. I'm the DEA, the FBI, the ATF. Who else am I? A part of the president's cabinet and stuff like that, according to rumors on YouTube. So this is just the higher up me telling y'all, you had to literally beat down every freaking venue and every avenue of what it is that you're seeing. Could this have been the car? Could this not have been the car? What would make this not the car? We're only searching for 2 cars. What about all the vehicles that were there? It's just stuff like that where you want to get it right. Why? Because for some odd reason, and I don't know if this is just an American thing because we're so immune to certain things, people dying and people getting life sentences and stuff like that, like it's just nothing. Death is permanent. Life in prison is almost permanent. It's rare that you guys get off on a pill. You would think to your freaking self, hey, bro, let me make sure I got the right person 100%. When you leave speculatory things out there, it just is what it is. That's one of the things that I cannot stand about this case that I keep on seeing. They already pinpoint and say, we got our man, but at the same time, you didn't thoroughly vet every freaking thing. And it more so seeps back into the murder of Donovan Thomas, which I believe in my heart of hearts, he will not receive justice for, even though his family deserves it. And some of y'all gonna be like, well, Donovan Thomas was a gangbanger and all of that. Yeah, gangbangers got family members, bro. Technically, what gangbangers are doing is illegal, and they know it. So if you get caught and you get caught for a body and all of that crap, it is what it is. You broke the law. Not saying Donovan Thomas was a saint, a law-abiding citizen, or that I support anything that he is accused of doing and all the stuff like putting hits on people and all that crap and everything like that. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is this. We cannot let chaos ensue. And if we're to believe in justice, don't make it blind justice. Make it precise justice. And that is the thing that bothers me the most about this case. Because if it were higher ups, if there were people in higher tax brackets, this crap would not happen. They would have thoroughly vetted it. We've seen, what is it, Murdoch or whatever the heck his name is, the lawyer that killed his son and his daughter. Basically, they looked high and wide to basically exonerate him when literally all the BS out of the way implicated him. There was no way he was going to walk into that courtroom and basically get found not guilty. It's those things that has to happen on a daily because it's supposed to be regular practice. It says to protect and serve the people. Didn't say tax bracket. But you know what? One of the worst things I've seen happen these days is the proliferation of people who scream and do nothing. Soapbox time. You can end the video if you don't want to hear me vent and rant, but this is massively important to what I'm saying. There are people, and I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not telling you you're right or you're wrong or anything like that. And it just has to do with the theme of voting because today is the time to vote. There are people in swing states like a Waka Flocka who did not vote but was out there campaigning for Trump and then said, my voice is louder. Bro, you're not motivating anybody to go to the polls if you're not going and bringing people with you. You're just not. You people who sit on the sidelines, complain and try to hype people up, and you do nothing. Every election is important. All of them. From the president to your freaking mayor to your alderman to the person that you put in charge of the PTA. Because your school council, those people that you put in as far as the presidents of y'all school and all that stuff that y'all vote for, yeah, they control the curriculum in which your child gets. So when they become too dumb to notice how the White House and how the Congress and how the legislative branches work, we're screwed. People know nothing about the Senate. People know nothing about the House. People know nothing about the president. This is when you get idiots who will sit here and complain. With no disrespect when I say this, but I would have never, if I was Kamala Harris, ever catered to the lowest group of people who don't vote, aka the ones with this color. Men generally ain't really voting like that. We are lesser as far as voting power. So when we hear all this stuff and all this crap about, hey, go out there and do this, hey, go out there, they're trying to motivate you to do what they will not do. That's why I take the tone that I take with this stuff. I don't want anybody to get on this channel and feel that you are powerless. You mean something, even if you think you don't. If you have not voted and you will not vote, please try again in 4 years. If you want my prediction on who's going to win, I think Kamala Harris is going to win. And I don't think it's because she's a better candidate. I don't think because she's greater and anything like that. No, I just believe in those swing states that, hey, when it boils down to it, when them people get in them booths by themselves and they really sit down and they think about it, I don't think that they're going to pick Trump. I believe parts of Trump turn people off, like the childish things that he say. I find it entertaining. But Trump didn't drive the freaking country off the end of the freaking road. Trump didn't create racism. Trump didn't create the divide. Now, is it magnified? 100% because Trump brings eyeballs. That's the great force that he is. And I'm not saying I'm MAGA, go Trump. I'm not saying don't go Trump. I'm saying that if you can vote with your thought process and really vet out what you believe, not what you hear, then may the best person win, whomever that may be. I'm going to be all right with whatever decision is made, because the way that America is set up, a president is not an authoritarian. And the Project 2025 or whatever it's called and stuff like that, I just don't believe in my heart of hearts that the Senate is going to swing for the Republicans, because that women's reproductive rights stuff, bro, that's pretty heavy. But like I said, majority of y'all probably just skipped out on this part. That's just my prediction. I could be wrong. I might be wrong, but that's just my prediction. I'll catch you on the next one. Subscribe, turn on the bell, stay notified, and yeah.